Hi, everyone. This week, we are using and looking at the critical reading strategy, asking questions. It is a very, very useful skill to practice and use both inside of class and outside of class. So we had our first look at rhetoric this past week in terms of reading comprehension and writing techniques. Understanding rhetoric involves moving beyond the basic level comprehension. You're digging deeper to consider not just what's being stated, but how it is being presented. Rhetorically understanding a text means the reader is able to focus on what the author is saying, how that information is arranged, and the context of the information that's being given. So we search for rhetoric to discover what the speaker is trying to accomplish and how they are trying to accomplish it. Here is a copy of Aristotle's rhetorical triangle. We'll get into this more depth next week. But it is made of the three corners: ethos, pathos, and logos. Ethos is an appeal to the credibility of the speaker. For example, an appeal to ethos from a doctor that's treating you might look like them saying, hey, I've been at this for 30 years. I'm good at this. I know what I'm talking about. You're going to believe them because they are a credible source. Pathos is an appeal to a reader's emotions, like the ASPCA commercials that use videos of animals that are in need of saving. It appeals to ethos because it appeals to pathos because it connects with you on an emotional level. And logos is an appeal to logic. So it might use statistics or logical argument to convince you of what they're saying. Areas of text that need to be considered include the author's purpose, which is why they're writing, their audience or whom they are writing to, their style, how they are writing, the expectations both on behalf of the author and audience. It could be expectations of outcome. If there's a call to action in a commercial for a local charity organization, the expected outcome might be more people reaching out to help that charity. This could also apply to the content you're expecting to find in a piece of writing or the form it takes. There are potential biases you need to keep in mind. Everyone comes into a situation having preconceived notions. You need to be aware of those on behalf of yourself and the author. And then there's the medium of composition. Is it digital? Is it print? All the elements that could potentially be contributing to a piece of writing's overall purpose. These are all things that need to be considered. So rhetoric is its own unique field of study. It's been around for a fairly long time. According to Aristotle, rhetoric is the faculty of observing any given case, in any given case, the available means of persuasion. So rhetoric is a means of persuasion. Think ethos, pathos, and logos, the three various corners of the rhetorical triangle that help a writer build a convincing argument. It helps you win your audience. It persuades your audience. So there's a few different types of rhetoric, and there are different types of arguments. A Rogerian argument is a form of argumentative reasoning that aims to establish a middle ground. You might use this in your everyday lives already without even knowing. Think, for example, you want to have pizza, your significant other wants a chicken sandwich. You might decide to go together to a place that serves both. So you're looking for that middle ground. You are looking for a compromise with a Rogerian argument. The Toulmin model was developed by philosopher Stephen E. Toulmin. The Toulmin method is a style of argumentation that breaks down an argument into 6 components. So you have the claim, the grounds, the warrant, the qualifier, the rebuttal, and the backing. In Toulmin's method, every argument begins with 3 fundamental parts. You have the claim, the grounds, and the warrant. And then there is listening rhetoric or rhetorical listening. You listen to something with a stance of openness. Understanding means more than simply listening for a speaker's intent or for your own self-interest intent. You're listening to the discourse, not for the intent, but you're listening with intent. Agreement isn't necessarily the goal. We often disagree with each other. However, rhetorical listening means that we recognize others' points of view as different, and we work towards understanding, not necessarily agreement. You might use this type of rhetoric with your significant other when things aren't adding up, or if your parents use this rhetoric on you when you've done something wrong and they're trying to be understanding. So, on to our critical reading. Asking questions is a really important way of interacting with a text. You can ask questions before, during, and after, and each one has their own benefits. You want to be a velociraptor. You want to ask questions. This is very important for your understanding. It's just a super important critical reading strategy, and you probably do it without even realizing it now. Before reading, when previewing a text, you can use questions to help you connect to prior knowledge about the text. What ideas are you already familiar with? What doesn't seem familiar that you want to know more about? What about the genre do you already know? What expectations might you have at this point, and why you have those? It's good to ask questions before so you know what you want to get out of a text, or you have some basic understanding of what you're reaching for. While reading, you can use questions to check your understanding of a text. What did that paragraph just say? What have I found that's difficult about this section? Why is it so difficult for me to understand? What am I reading that's promoting me towards new information or ideas that are unfamiliar? Sorry, pointing me, not promoting. What keywords or repeated or stand out? What passages are standing out to me as important, interesting, or confusing? After reading, consider what you still want to know or what needs review. So, what am I not understanding that I might want to come back to? Can I identify the thesis or main point of what I just read? What was the most difficult section, if there was a difficult section? And how would you summarize the text in just one word or one sentence? These are good questions to ask after you're reading. You might be asking yourself, if you read an article with various components in that article, you might be asking how those different parts fit together. What does it mean for the greater argument, the greater article, the greater piece as a whole? So as you are reading this week, as you are reading your assigned readings and viewing your assigned viewings, ask yourself questions before you go into it. While you are ingesting the text or video, ask yourself questions about what you're reading. And afterwards, ask questions to gauge your understanding of the reading. See if you need to revisit it or do some more research into whatever you're reading at that point. That might apply to if you're reading The Danger of a Single Story from our textbook this week, and you're like, I want to know more about this author. Where are they from? What do they do? What has become of them now? Ask these questions actively while you are engaging with the text, and it will help you get more from it. So that is all for this one, and I hope you guys enjoy the reading this week. And I hope you have an excellent week.